Hello everyone, this is Venugopal. Today we are going to see in this session a control statements in C language. Also we are going to see the flow of program execution. Before going for the control statements in C, let us focus on the flow of any program execution. Now what exactly mean by this flow of program execution? Means if you take any of the programming language, there must be some flow. Okay, so every program execution will be takes place in three ways. That is number one, sequential flow. Second is selection flow. And third is iteration flow. Right? This iteration is also called as, for example, looping. So by default, every program will be execute in a sequential flow only. Right, until and unless you will specify some condition to change the flow of the program execution. And selection means what? Depending upon the condition, the flow of the program execution will be changed. And finally, the iteration and looping means if you want to repeat some set of instructions again and again, then in that case the program execution will be in the iteration mode. So these are the basic three ways in which the program execution will be executed. Okay, so whatever the programs till now we have seen, you might have seen that all flows are in a sequential flow only because we have not interrupted the flow. The line by line execution, the programs are executed in the main function that we have already seen. So by default, any program's execution will be like this only. That is a sequential flow. For example, what is the use of this all kind of flows like sequential, selection, iteration? For example, if we take the example of our education, for example, if I want to study from 1 to 10th, you might have seen whenever we are studying in from standard, there are number of before standard 1 also nursery is there, kg1 is there, kg2 there, but I'm taking the example of standard 1 to, for example, standard 10. So if you observe carefully, this flow will be always sequential only. This flow will be sequentially only. Sequential means what? That there is no any interruption. Like after standard 1, you will be entered into the standard 2, then standard 3, then standard 4, dot 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 up to standard 10 only. After standard 10, you will be having some branches here depending upon the percentage. Depending upon the percentage, depending on the interest of the subject, right? We are going to select the fields, right? The junior college, right? +2. Okay, for example, if I'll take some example, like depending upon our interest, I want to take a art stream or I want to take a science stream, right? There would be different streams. I'm taking few example, and some students may opt for what? Commerce stream. So see, till the standard 1 to standard 10, the flow was sequential. But after 10th, now depending upon the choice of the student, depending on the percentage of the student, they are going to select. They are going to select what kind of education they want in future, right? So here we are considering this kind of branching. This particular thing is nothing but this flow. You can say this as what? Now selection, because you're selecting here, right? And finally after that, iteration will be the different case. Whenever you want to repeat some particular statements, then you are going to select the iteration mode. We will see in deep as we are going to cover the programming language. So if I'm taking the sequential, or these are the flows. Okay, and the second statement is what just I've shown in your head, our heading, that is control statement. Now these control statements will be control, right, this selection statements and this looping statements. So this control statements will control the execution of the program. Okay, so control statements majorly divided into two kind of statements. One is branching statements, second is again looping statement. Branching statement means what? This is called as a branching statement. This is called as a branching statement. Depending on the condition, we are bifurcating our programming. Okay, looping statement means repeating some statements, instructions. So whenever I'm taking the branching statements, so to execute the branching statements, we are having number of options to execute that branching kind of programming. Number one, if statement. Second is switch statement, or you can also say that like second is if else statement. If else statement. Then switch statement. Third is switch statement. Conditional statements. So these all statements are used for what? These all statements are used for doing a selection kind of programming. Means if if my percentage is greater than 80 percentage, I would like to go to this stream. Right? If my interest is this, I would like to go to this. If my age is greater than equal to 18, I would like to, I am eligible for voting. This kind of programming to check some conditions. If this condition is satisfied, then only I can do this stuff. Otherwise, not. This kind of programming, whenever you want to perform, you have to take the help of these control statements. The control statements are again divided into two parts: branching statements and looping statements. So branching statements, to accomplish the branching kind of programming, we are having the following statements like if else, right? We're having nested if else. I'll tell you in deep when we perform the programs. Then switch statements, it will switch according to your condition. So this is what a control statement. And whenever I'm talking about looping statement, whenever I'm talking about looping statements, so there are again three types of looping statements. One is while loop, second is do while loop, and third one is for loop. These all three loops are used to perform a looping kind of programs, iteration kind of programs. So if suppose I want to repeat some statements, I want to print 100 numbers, right? So instead of printf using a printf statement 100 times, what I will use? I'll use only one time printf statement, but I will iterate up to 100 times, right? So this kind of programming we can accomplish with the help of a looping statements. I hope you got right. Before going to control statement, we have focused on what exactly mean by the flow of statements, flow of program execution. Any program execution will be occurred in these three ways only: sequential, selection, and iteration. Then we have seen one example here. This is the example, simple example in day-to-day life. We are observing, even though we have also faced this thing till 1 to standard 10, there is no option. We need to go sequentially. Then depending upon our choice, we are selecting the screens. So we are changing our program execution to sequential to selection. And suppose if I want to repeat some statement, then we are using these looping statements. And for selection statements, we are using this if else, and switch statements. So now one by one, we will see how to exactly use this if statement in our programming language, how to write, how to use that basic stuff we are going to see now. So let us move and we will focus on now the simple if statement. If statement. Now, before going for any of the programs, you see, if is a simple keyword. It is a keyword already defined by the compiler. Now we'll see the syntax, how to use this if statement. The syntax is very easy. How to write this one? If is a small case, all keywords will be in the small case letters. Then round parenthesis. In this round parenthesis, we will write an expression, or you can say any condition. If this condition will be true, then it will consisting one body. If the condition will true, then it will execute the body of if block. If the condition is not true, it will directly jump outside of this particular if block. Simple condition, right? If this expression is true, then only it will enter into this particular if block section. If it is true, then only it will enter into the if block when the condition will become true. If condition will become false, then it will directly jump outside of this if block. This is what the execution. For example, here, if I want to take one example, simple example. Suppose I'm declaring two variables, a comma b, and suppose I'm taking a is equals to suppose 10 and b equals to 20. And suppose here I want to check which number is greater. If I'm writing like this, if a greater than b, this is the greater than sign, relational operator, right? This relational operator. This is I'm going to I already covered this relational operator in my program, right? In my videos. If it is a greater than b, then I want to printf what? Suppose a is greater. Simple message I want to print. If a is greater than b, then only it will print a is greater, because if the condition is only true, then only it will enter into that particular block. Okay, suppose if you are having two rooms, two classrooms, if you are having two classrooms, just I'm giving one example. These are the two classrooms. Okay, and suppose at very first day, suppose this is the MBA classroom and this is suppose BBA CA classroom. At the very first day you are entering into the college, and suppose you are the student of BBA CA. You are the student of BBA CA. So at first, whenever you go to the college, suppose you are facing this classroom first. So you will check the condition whether this is a BBA CA classroom. No. Are you going to enter into this classroom? No. What you will do? Simply you will skip this classroom and just go to the next one, and next you will check again. Here your condition is become false, so it has not entered into this classroom. But here your classroom is matches. Okay, BBA. Yes, I want to enter into this BBA classroom. So your condition matches, that is condition is become true, then you will enter into this classroom. So simple logic. This kind of programming, if you want to execute, then go for if statement. So here also it will check the condition. What is the value of A? It is 10. Is 10 is greater than 20? Of course, condition is false. So is it going to enter into the classroom or into this to print this block? No, it will directly jump outside of this loop. So now see, the execution is changing. Till here, the execution is sequential. After that, it is checking the condition. The execution will become selection. After selecting the condition, if the condition is true, it will execute this one. Otherwise, it will directly skip this particular block and go outside. And again, it follows what? Sequential execution only. Because by default, the execution will be sequential. So I hope you got this idea about what is the flow of execution of the program. Then we have seen this if statement, right? In a short duration, we will immediately implement this program using a dev C++ editor. So for that purpose, I'll open dev C++ editor. Now you know the syntax. Now comment, I'll write if statement program. First of all, I need to include stdio.h, then void main. All these control statements, everything you need to write inside the main function only, because main is the main. That's it. Okay, suppose simple same program we will implement a comma b, and here suppose I am assigning an a equal to 10 and b equal to 20. And see, now we will use this if statement. If round parenthesis condition is what? A greater than b. We are checking, is my a is greater than b? If yes, then what I want to print? I want to print a is greater number. Then if you want to write a precise message, then it's okay. Semicolon. If the condition will become true, then only it will execute this one. Otherwise, it will directly jump outside of this loop. And suppose we are writing here, hello \n. I want to save this program. As we know that, see, it's a C program. I'm selecting C source file. And here I will write like, just I'll select the folder. mm, C programming programs. So here I will save. Okay. So if statement, enter. I've saved this one. Now I am compiling and executing this one. See the answer, you're getting hello. You're not getting A is greater than B. You're getting hello. Okay. So how the execution has takes place, just we'll have some recap. From here, from the main function, it will execute this statement first. As we know that the program execution will be sequential by default. After that, it is entered to this particular line. Compiler will see this line. Okay. And it will execute this statement like, is A, that is 10, greater than B, that is 20. No, the condition, it will return a false. After executing, it will return what? It returns false. So if it is a false, it is not going to execute this statement. Okay, so here we are not executing the sequential here. See, we are selecting here, right? If it could be a sequential, then it could print this also. Okay, so it will directly jumping on to print hello. Suppose I'm changing this sequence now. Suppose this is B and suppose this is A. And here I want to write what? B is greater than A. Right? Now you check what would be the output. Hope you might have guessed, guys. Right? B is 20 greater than 10. That means condition is true. If it is true, it will enter into this block and it will execute what? B is greater than A. And after coming out of this if block, again the execution will be sequential. So it will execute hello also. I hope you got it. Right? Because this time the condition was correct, true. Okay. This is what the beauty of if block. But there is one problem with this. What is that problem? I'll tell you. Printf, suppose I'll write here, this if statement will be used for only printing one statement, one side. But if I want to print the other side, for example, if the condition is not true, then what is I'm expecting, right? For example, here I'm expecting what? A is greater than B. I want this should print. Naturally, na, if B is not greater, then it should print what? It should print A is greater than B. Okay, now we'll check it out. If I'll execute this, now this is what the drawback of your if statement. See, B is greater than A. That was the correct answer, right? But as the flow is sequential, right? After coming out of this if block, it is seeing this statement, right? And compiler will not understand whether it is a I need to execute or I need to break, right? Compiler will simply execute if the line will be there without any condition. So it is executing this also. But in this case, I don't want this. If the condition is wrong, then it's fine. For example, if for example I am making this as 100, now in that case B is not greater than A. In this case, this if block is not going to execute, but this is going to execute, right? See, now here A is the greater than B and we are printing hello. In this condition it's okay, but in this in the first condition, right, it is executing both. B is greater than A and A is greater than B. This is what the drawback of if statement. You cannot use the what else if the condition is become false. So for that purpose, we are going to learn the second type of control statement, that is a if else statement, in my next video. So till then, keep watching and please do comment how did you like this video. Till then, bye bye.